a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say is even harder to find.
Welcome to this week's VKGRE podcast. Mr. David Giambruno is not here, but your favorite agents are in the room.
Yep. That's
so, right. I know we just came off of doing our live podcast. Had some great feedback and fun doing it. I think we've learned that we can't talk over each other.
Yes, do not talk over each other. And the one thing that I want to say in the beginning of this podcast is we have our wine walk coming up, and you got our team as the lead sponsor.
That's correct. And we actually have over 50 tickets. 50 tickets. So if you're listening to this, it's actually on...
Next Saturday.
Yeah, it's next Saturday. It's on the 22nd. So
you will hear the podcast before the wine walk.
Yes, you will. And
those tickets are $55.
They're $55, but our clients got them for a really big discount. Free.
Free $99.
Free $99.
We're gonna have our own booth. We're gonna be so. Look for the emails that are going out for you to RSVP. Please RSVP. And it'll also give you the location of where our booth is for you to pick up your wine glass and ticket for the event.
Perfect.
In downtown Los Gatos.
So I had something interesting happen to me. We're going to dive in. And that was I had a buyer for a property in South San Jose near Oak Grove.
Okay.
And property was listed at...
one of the best high schools in our area.
Property was listed at $849. No true direct comparable sale. Guess how many preemptive offers they had?
This was a single-family home.
This is a townhouse.
A townhouse.
A townhouse, totally normal.
It wasn't a McEwen, was it?
No, just a 3-bed, 2-bath. It was nice. $849.
Like off of Burnell, right there, Burnell.
No, not that far.
85?
It was off of like a Snell and Branham area.
Okay.
And I guess to back it up, I called and I said, "Are you going to be putting an offer date / deadline?" And she said, yeah, Tuesday. However, if something really strong came in, our sellers would be inclined to probably take it.
Okay.
I said, great. And I was thinking like maybe $850 to $900. And I told my clients, hey, like I think the biggest mistake you can do right now is overpay for a property. Just wait till the deadline. Let's see what happens. If someone wants to go crazy, let them go crazy. Do it. Yeah. Approaching June, more inventory is going to come. How many preemptive offers do you think that they had?
Well, not knowing the product, where was that value based off of where you think?
There's no reason it should have gone over 900.
Okay, so that, and they were at 850?
Mm-hmm. Which one was this? What was
He's asking a question, I guess.
What was the address? What was the address?
Chenoweth.
Oh, I saw that property.
Yeah.
Yep.
6?
14.
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah, but what Aaron is forgetting to leave out of this property as well is that the backyard was bigger than a single family home backyard. So
Fair
that
enough,
probably attracted, I would say, over half of those offers I came in because
okay,
that home
but
with
still,
a 2-car garage and parking out front.
I'm hearing more and more about this. We in our sales meeting today, there was a condo here in Los Gatos that had come on, and they had it as in our MLS we have what is it, coming soon, where it's off market, but we have to promote it within agents and stuff, right? And that property never went public. They actually did an open house on it while it was still in coming soon status, and they wound up selling it through that process. To me, I think they would have left money on the table. But I guess let's open it up to the conversation here. How do you guys feel about selling with preemptive offers? Is that in the best interest of the client? Is the client going to get the highest amount of dollars with it? What do you guys think about selling off market or preemptive offers before you actually give it a chance to soak into all the buyers that are out there?
I think if you list a property on members only or members coming soon off market, if you list it at the price point that the seller wants to walk away with and you get it, I think that's the way to go.
Okay. Gee.
But I think buyers, if they can snag a deal off market, that's the best thing right now.
Right now they're hungry.
Yeah, because then you are in front of the competition, right? But for the sellers, it's not the best idea because you truly don't know how high it could go.
Correct.
And you don't know how many people would be willing to pay more for that property. One of the recent transactions I did, I got it preemptively, and then at deadline they got 4 higher offers. Mm-hmm. And in the state of California, buyer has all the power once we're in contract. So there's nothing the seller could do about it.
So when I joined this team, Mark told me very early on, the number one mistake you can make is not letting a property go to the market to find out the true value. That goes for us as agents and sellers as well. Because on Linda Ave, we were kind of nervous we weren't going to get 3 million. We got 3,355.
Right.
Right. So you don't know.
Like going on the market. And your client would have been happy if they came in with an offer of 3.1.
Yeah, so-
they would have probably taken it.
But at the end of the day, it's really important to remember that we work for our sellers, and if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. You can only educate.
So I do have some comments on this. Exactly what Jeet had mentioned. I think it's a benefit to the buyers, and no way do I feel it's a benefit to the sellers. Now, there are certain circumstances. Somebody's having a life event. They don't want to advertise it to the neighborhood, right? And they're going to get a fair value. Great. But I can give you 2 examples, recent examples. One is with Clover Creek, right? We raced to the market. We put it on the market on a Friday night. We did open house Saturday and Sunday. Monday, we actually had some people who were willing to give us offers, right? But we made the decision, hey, we didn't have a chance to let this thing soak. We didn't do the broker's open house on Wednesday. We didn't do a twilight tour like we always do. So and we actually had agents saying, hey, my client's out of town, right? The offers I know that we could have generated would have been close to what the seller wanted at that time, but we made the decision to let it go through that following weekend, right? And by exposing it, so the exposure side of it. And sure enough, we were able to generate multiple offers, and we got higher than what the seller's expectation was. I just got a call today on our property that we were going to list on Bruce here in town, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right? And the owner calls up and says, Mark, my neighbor across the street heard that I'm thinking about selling the property. So here's a question too. How do you advise your client in that situation? So
Such a common thing. All of a sudden the neighbor wants to buy it, you put the property on and they don't want to buy it.
Right. So he said, what do I tell him? I mean, do I tell him my walkaway number as you kind of coached us through and stuff? I said, here's the issue. What you tell him is, have him call me up. I'll be more than happy to talk to him. And if you feel obligated to them, tell them that you'll be open to giving them like last look, basically, right? But don't sell it right now because we can't, especially in a crazy market like this. I think the reason why you're seeing a lot of these sales that are happening preemptive off market, buyers are getting pretty desperate, right? And they're getting aggressive, and they're giving the seller what they want. But I think that by doing that, the seller and the agents are doing a disservice to themselves, the listing agent, because you don't know. You don't know what the end result would have been. And that's why I tell my client, if you can sleep well at night with what you sell it for, then great. But you don't know what you don't know.
I think that is the perfect slogan for anyone listening that has that neighbor who all of a sudden wants to buy your property. Simply say, you could talk to my real estate agent, and then it's up to us to say, we're totally happy with letting you buy the property. We'll give you a last chance to either match or beat any other offer.
So with what you just said in that last comment, is that unethical?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I have a question.
Well, hold on. I want to finish this.
Is
it unethical to give somebody a last look at an offer? Because basically what you're saying is once all the offers come in, I'm going to now give this guy, an extra advantage by letting him know where those offers are.
So I actually have a different stance on this. I probably would have said last week that it is potentially unethical. However, the contract says that it's not confidential.
It's not unethical. And it's not illegal or anything.
Correct.
DRE made a decision many years ago that as a listing agent, we can actually tell people where those offers are at because our job is to get the seller the highest amount of dollar possible. Now, is it the coolest thing to do? Are you going to be pissing people off? Yes. I don't think it's a proper best practice to do that, but it's not illegal and it's not unethical.
It clearly says that.
Yes,
In the
it does.
contract.
It does.
So I think selling off market also saves some time for sellers, right? Like maybe they don't want to go and do a bunch of work and want to sell as is in the quickest time frame possible. In that case, it could be great for the buyer and the seller.
Well, it's most people will pay for convenience, right? And definitely, listen, I tell all of our agents that we have, and you guys, and even myself, we should all have to go through a sale transaction every 2 years to remind us the pain in the ass that it really is. It's not fun to be in your property where you're doing open houses and people coming through, looking at your stuff and everything. God forbid you still live in it while you're trying to show it, right? So I can understand in certain circumstances, for that seller who's owned that house, they bought it for $500,000, it's now worth $3 million. Hey, I made enough on it. Let's just get a great family in here, whoever. Here's my walkaway number. I don't do open houses or anything. I can see the
value.
The value.
I mean, at a certain point, if you're netting so much money, a lot of it's just going to be taxed anyways.
Well, but my push, you're right. You're in partnership with the government, right? There's no doubt about it. But what I also say is the majority of people in our area, their biggest asset that they own is their house. Would you agree?
Okay, well, let's say an example here. You have a client who knows they're going to be leaving this area within the next year to 2 years. They think that the market is going to come down here within the next year, end of the year, start of next year. would you risk putting it on members only or putting it on the market now to show and see if you can get that number that you don't think you can get in a few months?
If
or
it
do you wait a few
achieves
months?
my result, I would say. If it hits my goal and then it helps me go to the next chapter, sure.
See, I'm opposed to any coming soon marketing, period. And I'll tell you why. I don't want to have that house seasoned whatsoever. If my seller is committed to getting the highest amount of dollar possible and letting me control the show, why do I want to
But you are the seller in this case.
Okay, the same thing. Why do I want to put my property out there coming soon for sale, which just to gather data, to me, you don't really know the clear data until you put it on the market. I would much prefer I would much prefer to let everybody see that house at the same time. Because if I'm doing a coming soon sign on the property, what's going to happen? I'm going to get calls on it. Hey, would you take a preemptive offer, or would you sell for this much? But it's coming soon. It's not on the active market. I don't know where that value is.
Okay, so if you wanted $3 million, in your heart, you believe that the market's going to fall 10% and you're not actually ready to sell till June, but right now you can get $3 million, and then come June, maybe it's only worth $2.6. Would you say, hey, Ben, throw my house out there for $3 million. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't. And then when I'm ready in June, we can list it.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, if I'm willing to sell at a sell it now price today, but I'm not willing to go through the motions for 4 months down the road, then potentially, if I'm really getting that number, but if I'm ready to sell now, I'm not going to sell it without
But I think
putting
that
it
was
on the
your
market.
question.
Yeah, I think for any seller in this market who doesn't necessarily have to get to their next step within the next 3-4 months, like, put your home on the market, take your time. But again, if you're looking at a future of whether or not the market's going to stay where it is, why not test that theory now and try and get that money?
Here's where I push back on this. We know the way that we get the highest amount of dollar for our clients, and that's by making that property look the best we can.
I'm not saying we aren't going to do that. I'm saying in 5 months from now, if the market's not where it is, our tactics of still getting the highest and best money still might not equate to what that dollar is today.
But now you're trying to predict the market.
That's what I'm saying. So would you?
I would say
if you think it's dropping though, do you predict it or do you wait it out?
Here's what I'm going to tell my client. Listen, here's the bottom line. We know damn well in our gut, from what we can tell from all of our wonderful stats and everything, that the sooner you sell your property in today's environment, you're probably going to maximize the highest amount of dollar. This market is, I don't think anybody is expecting our market to increase in value over the next 6 to 12 months, 24 months. Are they?
If it does, something is going wrong.
Well, see, my theory
Should go down.
Right? I mean,
if the market goes down, let's say between the end of the summer and start of next year, we start to see that come down. The beginning of the year, the Feds cut the rates. In my mind, again, if the Feds cut the rate at the end of the year, I think all of the sellers who are holding on to their properties right now are going to see the interest rates come down. They're going to immediately put their home on the market to try and get the buyers. I think with the influx of inventory, we might see an influx of buyer activity.
Right.
But in our market, again, how long does that last? Is a buyer activity going to last for 2-3 months until they recut the rates, or until there's so much inventory then it just stops?
Okay, but the point is, you're saying that you believe the market's going to go down, which we all are, right? So I guess my pushback with that client scenario that you just did, I would do everything to my client that, one, if you're thinking of selling anytime in the future, let's do it now, right? And if you want me to maximize the amount of dollar you're going to do, the best way I can do that is let's go all out. Let's get the home ready. We only need 2 weeks. I mean, our contracts don't have any. They can walk away anytime they want in our contracts. We don't hold them to it, right? So I say, listen, let's give it the college try right now to maximize what I can sell your house for right now today. Give me 2 weeks to do it, and if we don't hit your number, don't worry about it. But I'll probably guarantee you we're going to wind up hitting your number, and at least that way, then you know what you're going to get on the open market.
I agree.
That topic was fire.
So
Look at all the engagement.
Before we run out of time,
good.
Mark, you're sitting with a very large stack of papers.
Man.
Would you like
So-
to give us our hour-long synopsis here?
This is pretty crazy. I mean, this happens to be the 2023 Annual Historical Data Summary put out by National Association of Realtors and California Association of Realtors. I obviously haven't gone through all of this because you're right. This is a 200-page document that literally has every stat you can ever think of when it comes to real estate. But one that I did pull out, and we'll dive into this a little bit more in the future, is where we look at annual median sales price. And this compares California with the rest of the nation. And what I was surprised to find out, or just look at, this is taking data all the way back 1968, which was the year I was born. Between 68 and 74, California was pretty much in line with the rest of the nation on the median price point, right?
1968.
1968 to 1974, 75. Then we started gaining traction. We were about 20% higher than the rest of the nation. But then as soon as we hit the 80s, it boomed. And we were about double what the rest of the nation was on the median price, right? And then from then, California compared to the rest of the United States. And then it just took off from there, right? I mean, if you go to like 2000s, that's when we were almost triple, 3x what median pricing was. And today, 2022, our median price in California is $822,000, where the rest of the United States is $392,000. So I just point that out because I like to see what happened in those decades that made us make those leaps.
I was just going to ask you that.
Right? Well, I mean, if we look in the 80s.
So what was the big Silicon
Hewlett
Valley?
Packard,
Okay.
you know,
But this is California.
Correct.
So
What was your question?
That's not my question, but my thought is what was the massive influx for people moving to California, maybe to San Diego or Los Angeles, not so much Silicon Valley?
Why were people moving to California?
Yeah, 1980.
Well, this isn't necessarily population. This is just increase of value.
Oh, okay.
So this wasn't them because, well, I guess that's the question. What were these values higher because people were pouring into California?
Right.
But then the question is, what did California have that increased the value, one way or the other?
So have we ever seen a massive decrease of people leaving California?
Oh, yeah, you are. You are seeing a massive decrease. I'm sure
Like
it's
right
in there
now?
somewhere. Yeah.
But besides right now, has there ever been a big decrease?
I'm sure it's somewhere in here, and I'm sure I'll have that for your next
All right.
podcast.
Do you
This
think
isn't
there
on
are
a
more
computer.
people?
Control F.
Do you think there's more people moving out of California than moving in right now?
There are.
I thought
don't.
for every one person that left, 5 wanted to come.
We have all those stats that we've covered in past. Great question, though. But yes, right now, California is one of the states that has more people moving out than moving in.
How do you think the recent job losses are going to affect it?
I'd say it's less job losses and more of California is just making it so not friendly to own a business here.
You think?
I mean, like I saw Mark Wahlberg talk. He's like, I'm going to Nevada. And he's starting a big tequila company and he's doing quite a bit of things. And he's just like, this is stupid.
But here's what I've realized with California. I mean, it is a very expensive place to live, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But you pay to live here. You do. If you want to be able to go to the beach in a half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever it is, and ski 3.5 hours away, you're going to pay for that privilege to do it.
Yeah, we have 4 seasons. We have pretty much anything you want to do.
Incredible quality of life, right? So to answer your question, Jeet, for me, I think it's a drop in the bucket when we talk about layoffs. There's so much backfill that's happening here and stuff. And most of those people that are getting laid off, they're getting rehired 2 months down the road when they've got a 6-month severance pay and stuff. So until we see that continuing, and let's face it, we've talked about on the podcast before, when we hear about these massive layoffs, that's kind of globally, right? I mean, here, I think, was it Google that said they were laying off 10,000 and yet it was only 600 positions here. And I know those numbers are going up. I just...
But there's so many companies running heavy for a long time.
There's no doubt about it. But those companies are, why do we have the exodus? It's a very expensive place to live, right? And not everybody can afford to live here. We've got a lot of the empty nesters that are just saying, get the hell out of here. The semi-retirees, the people that are saying, hey, let me take my money and run. I don't need to pay to live here anymore. Right?
So just something kind of random. But when I go to the gym, I have to be there at 6 and I have to go on 87, so I pass downtown. But places like Adobe did a ton of layoffs. Every one of Adobe's lights are on all night. And I'm just like, what the heck?
Isn't that hilarious?
Just wanted to throw that out there.
Maybe they got solar.
6 a.m. in the morning going to the gym. I'm impressed. Is that every day?
Every day.
Wow.
I mean,
do you just
I go every day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or is it just on your calendar?
No. For my results, I'm not. Those are a different story. But I do go. So I had somebody ask me something kind of interesting the other day, if I may.
Please.
You may. So a lot of people spend tons of money on their backyard, right? Like you're getting ready to do a remodel, you're going to spend quite a bit of money on getting the yard done. You use your backyard, right? So you should make it nice. I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that if they spend $150,000, $200,000 on a swimming pool, that they're going to get that back when they go to sell their home. What are your guys' thoughts on
specifically on a swimming pool? Or
swimming pool with the pavers, maybe more hardscape than grass, things like that.
Are you allowed to question before you answer that? I heard that at least this county, you're not even allowed to fill a pool. Like
previously,
I recently talked to a real estate agent who had an issue with the light in the pool on the side. It wasn't on, and I asked him. I said, "Do you know just a rough estimate of how much that would cost to fix that?" And they said the last time we spoke to the pool company, they couldn't drain the water lower than a certain level because they couldn't fill it back up if it goes down too low.
Well, that was with drought stuff. That's not an issue.
Is that not an issue now?
I mean,
No,
have
not
you
an
been outside in the last 2 months? It's been. If I hear anything about a drought,
I was gonna say, for the last 4 months, my pool's been overflowing without me putting any water.
This was like a month ago. Though.
No, that's with the drought restriction. It would just cost you more money. I don't see that being an issue at all.
Okay.
But going back to the whole pool issue, listen, somebody who wants a pool.
well, I guess that's the answer. The pool issue.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants a pool, they're going to pay a premium for it, right? If somebody doesn't care about the pool, it's a neutral. Like if they're looking for the appraiser will generally not give any value to a pool, and he actually decrease the value if that pool is one where you open up your slider and you walk right where it's the entire backyard, right?
But that's really, I would say, prominently here in the Bay Area versus like you go to Austin or Florida. If you don't have a pool,
Correct.
That's a huge downside.
Yeah. And to your point, listen, for somebody who's wanting to put money in their property, if it's your end all house, put as much money into it as you want. You're going to get the use and enjoyment out of it, right? If you're putting it into it for resale value, that's a whole different
But a
conversation.
lot of buyers, as you guys know, you do a lot of open houses, are repulsed by pools.
I don't like the pool.
You don't? You have a pool.
I know, and I've told all the people if I ever get that home, I'm taking the pool right out.
Wow.
It's funny.
Scraping it.
So we specifically actually put a pool into the house that we bought, right? We were that what you just said. We put the pool in. It's great for parties, but honestly, Dee Dee and I might go in that pool once a year.
For kids, if you have kids
will use it all the
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. But to maintain it, if I
But it looks
had,
great. And you don't even maintain
Well,
it.
that's what I'm saying. If I had to pay what my landlord is paying to clean the pool,
$150 a month.
Yeah.
to constantly update all the issues with the pool, it's now cracked.
And you're not
Sure.
paying more money to rent that property out because it has a pool.
No.
Right?
But it's just
what I realized, and the reason why we put a pool into every house we ever lived in, is because we like to entertain, and it does create kind of like a resort type cool. It's a cool thing to put back there. But again, to the value of the house, the only way you're going to get value of a house like that is if somebody's looking for a pool. Otherwise, people don't care about it. And to fill in a pool, we recently just filled in a pool, and it was about $20,000 to do it with permits and everything else the right way.
I think people also see it as a negative because they either want something else with the backyard, like not a pool, and then they would come into the house, they like the house, and then there's a pool, and they go like, I'll have to spend $10,000-$20,000.
The best scenario when you have a pool is to have a backyard where you have a pool, you still have a backyard and everything else.
Exactly.
But again, I go back to there are people who love pools, and the people who love a pool will pay a premium for it.
Yep.
So something also to remember when you're filling a pool, you made a great point, is that there's a couple times that you really want to be really careful if you're going to add additional square footage, maybe get an ADU. If you backfilled a pool and you didn't let it settle for an extended period of time, you may want to be super careful.
You have to
right?
engineer the soil.
Engineer
You
the
have to engineer
soil. I would really recommend doing it with a permit.
Yeah.
Same with like building on a leach field. Like you can't have a structure that's super heavy, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, and that's the key thing. When you get a bid to fill in a pool, they're going to ask you, do you want it compacted or do you want an engineered fill or not? Because if you don't do the engineered fill, then you have to disclose that you cannot build over that area in the backyard. And it's probably a difference around $3,000 to $5,000.
and you can kind of tell when you're looking at properties if there was a pool there because it has that
little-
kidney bean shape, right?
Wow, what a
of
cool
the
little
grass.
design.
Yeah.
All right, are we going to do a mustache moment here or anything? Or
Mustache Market Minute.
It's not a big mustache moment. It's just, again, a reminder to buyers. If you're looking at a property that's in a great area, inventory is low. If you're looking at a property in a great area and it's not selling, there's not necessarily something wrong with the house. It is more than likely a price issue. There's a lot of agents who feel right now that because of the low inventory, let's just put the home on the market at a higher price because this is the only one. Someone's going to have to go after it. I'm battling back and forth right now with an agent. It's been 25 days on the market, no price reduction. We have tons of interest. How do you have tons of interest in a market where there's no inventory and your property is still sitting? Find an agent who knows how to price your property and sell it.
there you go. That was good enough, man.
The only reason a property doesn't sell is if it's not priced right or not marketed properly, right? Making it easy for buyers to come see the
100%.
property, and that's how you'd sell.
And one more public service announcement. If you happen to go online to a Zillow property, always make sure you ask the agent you contact if they're the listing agent or not. Right?
Oh man, we can get a topic for the next podcast on that.
So for all of our all of our clients, consumers, awesome people out there in La La Land, if you happen to come across one of our listings, if you happen to get directed to anybody other than us, it's Zillow working its magic. So make sure you contact us directly.
Wow.
And if you see other houses on Zillow, contact us anyways.
Yeah.
Just contact us. Period.
All right, anything else?
Are we signing out?
Sounds like it.
I
We
mean,
good?
Yeah, you know. This
Yeah.
is good.
So we got the wine walk on
Wine walk.
April 22nd. You guys look for the emails on that. So you RSVP. Really, that'll be a really great event. Jazz in the music in the park that we have going on. Jazz in the Plaza. A lot of stuff happening as we're gearing up for
summer's
for,
finally
summer of fun
coming.
again.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, well, thanks for watching.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take care. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.